Welcome back, everybody. I hope you're well. This is No Spring Chicken, and we're about to do some urban sprawling. It's very loud here. I've just realised with all the villages around now, it's getting quite loud. So I reckon we might relocate. That's better. Thanks for all your support. I've really appreciated the lovely comments that I've been receiving. And if you're that way inclined, happy Easter. It's Easter coming up this weekend, which is nice. I know there's lots of kids looking forward to having a bit of an Easter egg hunt. It is, for some people, for quite a few people, it's a very special time of year. And with that in mind, today I think the town needs a church. You can see just above my head, there's a bit of a plateau taking shape. I've been up on top of the hill getting the ground prepared and set out, but it does need a few things. It does need a retaining wall. We'll get started shortly with the retaining wall along the same lines as the retaining wall we made last episode. We'll build a little church with a nice tall steeple. So it is going to challenge the town hall for dominance, but that's what churches do, I think. So this is going to herald back to the times when a town was established and there was a bit of a rise. That was where the church went. So the townsfolk could see it and be reminded of their faith. We're going to build a church up on that hill behind us. But let's get that retaining wall in first. I'm glad I've decided to put in a church up on the hill because it is going to bring people across this side of the town. So I've already put in some little paths leading up to it. Here we go. Nice big blank slab of dirt, which we're going to cover up with a more impressive cobblestone. But up these stairs, we've got the church itself set out. It's not going to be a big church, but it is going to be very dominant with quite a tall steeple. That's the church, so we're going to come in here. There's going to be the 2 rows of pews with a little altar and a lectern and some other decorations. And yes, it's going to be very, very dominant over the skyline, which is exactly what it should. So let's get some cobblestone and we'll start making that retaining wall. I was thinking this is the church. This bit of land down here could be a bit of a graveyard. So we'll have to look at how to make gravestones eventually. But first of all, retaining wall. there's the retaining wall. As you can see, it's quite a bit taller than the retaining walls down on the flat area. I have put in some vines against my better judgment. They do tend to spread quite badly and they end up covering everything and hanging and making life a bit of a burden. So, yeah, see, that one's already just grown. So if I do notice that they're taking over this area a little bit, I will just have to remove them. Let's go and have a look up top. So we've got the little path which just finishes here. I was thinking of bringing the town around this side and having it spread out around this area as well. As you can see, I have started clearing the area a little bit. Down here is quite a lot of land still. It would take some more terraforming, obviously, and it does have some steep hills in areas, but that's always an option and giving us a lot more land to play with. There is this big hole here though, which is pretty deep. It doesn't turn into cave or anything, so I could light it up and cover it over. I can't believe how many animals are up here. When I was marking this place out, I had to fend off so many animals. They've disappeared since then. But yeah, there was like 5 sheep, a couple of cows, lots of iron golems. I think the iron golems have moved down this way. Yeah, so a couple of iron golems. It was really tricky trying to map the building out without actually hitting anything. And of course, there's villagers roaming around up here as well. We do have this little house up here, which was one of the naturally spawning houses. I've added a few things. I've put some carpet in and another bed. And, of course, blueberries. But I haven't actually done much up this way, so hopefully putting this church in will enable the township to grow out this way. I reckon it's time to build a church. The church project has become a bigger task than I anticipated. So I've got pretty much the church built. I haven't decorated the inside of it yet, but I got working on that grounds. I've been terraforming and it's coming along really nicely, although it is a bigger task than I anticipated. Let's go and have a look and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So as you can see, I've removed some more trees, but I do have some saplings ready to take their place. And there are so many golems around the church, it's not funny. I have hit a couple of golems accidentally while cutting trees and things down, and yes, I did get killed. But there are so many. Okay. So this is the front of the church. I'm going to have the path come up this way and around. So we've got this little bit of a nice green area, but I've put in a retaining wall at the front and I've left this side a little bit more natural because the path wanders around and it goes down that way and then it comes up this way into... This was going to be a cemetery and I've got those strange looking flowers out here because they give a really crazy sound which suits a cemetery. This is all terraformed. We are up quite high. And there we go. So quite a big wall, but I've started working around here, around the back of the church. So I'm just putting in a staircase. This will be a staircase in a little while. But yeah, so we've got a little bit more of a kept look to it, rather than just being left to the wild. It's been maintained. So we've got some more retaining walls, giving the landscape a bit more form. That's where I'm up to. I might put another tree here actually. Put a couple of trees there. This area here, I'm not sure what to do with. I was originally planning on putting a retaining wall all the way around, but I do like the slanting slope of the ground here. We do have... Oh! You're so lucky, Bob. That could have wiped you out, mate. So we've got some stairs coming down here to where this little house is. So I'll plan on... I might remove this tree so the path can wander and then turn this into staircase. So it's going up here into this little landing. Yeah, I'm going to leave this open, I think. I like the height of it. I was a little bit concerned that the tower would be crazy tall, but when you look at it from this angle, it isn't. It isn't that tall. Ouch. When you look at it from the side, it's a nice height. It feels sturdy. Well, it looks sturdy. Finished. The church is finished. And we've even got a couple of patrons inside working. Let me give you a tour. So we've got the little path coming up from the village, and I will get this paved at some point. I'm running low on mud bricks. So we've got a big retaining wall. So you come up these stairs and you're faced with this very big, intimidating tower. So you come up the stairs and this is the inside. I've gone for a very patchwork quilt type of colour palette for the church, trying to make it look old and patched up, which a lot of small town churches tend to be. So they're usually one of the first buildings built, and then they're maintained forever after. So we've got lovely red carpet running down the centre, got pews of seats, got a little altar, we've got the lectern for the priest or the chaplain to do his sermon. We've got I'm not sure what I wanted this to be, but I thought it could be like a little table or something. I'm not sure, but I like it. It's very simple and it balances the room out very nicely. We've got little azalea plants in little pot plants. We've got lots of candles and lots of stained glass. So I've just gone for, again, just a patchwork of colour, trying to keep the place very colourful. The stained glass window, the rose window up the top there, is actually 2 layers thick of stone, and you'll see what I mean when we get outside, with planes of glass, blocks of glass in the middle, because I wanted to put the steps around it to give it a round look, and we all know what happens when you try putting a glass block on stairs. You get the gap. So I had to go 2 layers thick with the glass blocks in between. And I think that looks really lovely. Oh, look at the bee. Oh, is the bee outside? I think the bee's outside. Very nice. We've got beams holding the roof up, chains with lanterns, lighting the place up. The only thing that I don't have in here yet are some banners. I want to hang some banners around the place to give it more of a used look. Probably go for some more brightly coloured banners. Maybe one up there. We've got a holy water font with a leather worker. Got some special ornamentation, more candles. Oops, I need to get rid of the torches around the place. Hopefully the lanterns and all the candles illuminate this place enough that we don't have oogly booglies spawning. It is a house of worship after all. There's the inside of the church. Very nice. And we do have quite a few villagers come up and congregate in here. So I do need to get a bell. I'm thinking of hanging a bell in this little alcove here. That's the tower. And then we come around this way, garden area with lovely trees. And then we step down here and we've got more of a natural slope to the terrain. And then we come around this side, we've got some graves with the lovely trees. I did put in some azalea trees because they've got a really organic feel to them. They're never straight like this one. They're usually really lopsided and wonky, which is really nice, and pops of colour. Love it. We've got this nice big tree, which I didn't make. This is just a naturally spawning tree, naturally growing tree, and glowberries. Love the glowberries. Don't want to walk on the graves. And then we come around this way and we can continue on at this level around to the grave site, which has got a lovely big spruce tree which has made the ground go all murky. It almost looks like mud. But we've got some of those, I can't remember what they're called. Closed eye blossoms. When they open and close, they give it there's a little bit of an atmospheric sound that they make, which for a graveyard is quite fitting. So I've left some grass in, and gravestones. I've left some grass to give it a bit of an unkempt look, but it is well maintained. And if you have noticed, I've got my wither rose, and I'm putting it under there because I hate walking on them. But I thought it sort of matches the blossoms as far as colours. Very almost monochromatic out here for plant life. So yes, this is the graveyard. And if we come around this way, it circles back to the front of the church. But if we do come back around this way, I'll show you the downstairs. So down here, we do have an extension of the graveyard with a couple more gravestones spotted around the place. And then it will follow around. I'm thinking when I do eventually cover this big hole up, I'll make that nice and flat eventually. The town can spiral around this side and buildings can start popping up, but that's a long way off. I'm a long way off from doing that. We've got some greenery. I like the way we've got the retaining wall with shrubs and vines, and then up above you've got the top of the trees. I like that look. It's almost got a castle feel to it. But there you go. There's the graveyard. Look at the lit up tower. Thank you very much, end rods. There's the church. I must say, I do say I love it a lot, but I love it. The texture palette in this building really pops. I didn't want it to be just cobble or stone blocks, because the cobblestone is getting used a lot in the retaining wall, so I wanted it to stick out and stand by itself. So I like the use of the different textures, and that mud block, the mud brick in there, really adds something to the palette. Big episode, big job. It, like I said earlier, it did become a bigger task than I imagined when I started thinking about a little church. But there you have it. I hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, please hit the like button and subscribe. Tell your friends. Give me some feedback. I'm always loving to hear from you. I'm No Spring Chicken, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Oh my goodness. There, up and over. Don't you give me shifty side eye. Oh my goodness. The sheep just killed a villager.